Right, welcome everyone. We'll make a start. I'm sure there'll be a few more people come in as we go along. Thank you for taking the time to come this morning to look at GovernorHub Knowledge. I'm sure you've had to drag yourself away from the BBC News, but thank you for giving us your time. My name's Jane. I work for the support team at GovernorHub. I'm joined by Elena, who is part of the content team at GovernorHub, and she will be talking more about her role in writing articles and content for GovernorHub Knowledge in the second part of this presentation. I'm also joined by Leonie, who's going to be manning the chat. Leonie is on the support team with me at GovernorHub, and so if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and Leonie will do her best to answer them. And any that we don't answer now, we'll answer at the end. And we're also joined by Polly, who is our marketing manager at GovernorHub too. So a good team of us here this morning. So the first part, I'm going to talk to you about GovernorHub Knowledge and about how it integrates with GovernorHub. And the second part, Elena is going to talk about the training courses and the content and how that's generated and how that can support governance in your school or your trust or your local authority. And then finally, I'm going to talk to you about some of the exciting new features that we're looking to add in the autumn term and beyond. So, as you can see from the screen, I looked at the list of people who were coming to join us this morning, and I can see there's a huge range of people. We've got people who already have GovernorHub knowledge and are looking to make the best of what they've got. And we have people who have just GovernorHub at the minute, and they're looking to see what GovernorHub knowledge can add to their package. Now, as you'll see from the screen, one of the kind of summary highlight of GovernorHub knowledge is that it's everything that a governor or trustee needs in one place. So if you have GovernorHub, great, because you've got your communication, your document storage, your ability to organise your governance and to schedule meetings in a calendar and to download information and produce reports. GovernorHub knowledge has all of the training and advice and additional features that make your governors and trustees have the knowledge to act and to get on with the job of governance, of supporting our young people and our schools. So a little bit about us. With GovernorHub, you're always in very good hands. We're a team of very experienced governors and educators. A lot of us have a background in education, and we're all governors too. Myself, I'm a governor at a middle school up here in Whitley Bay, and I have several colleagues that are governors in secondary schools. We've got trustees. We have somebody who is a governor of an all-through school. So we have a huge range of governor experience on the team. As Elena will speak in a moment, in the background, we campaign to raise the profile of governance. We're interested in governance. We recognise that you are volunteers or that you're managing and dealing with volunteers, and we really think that the contribution that governors and trustees makes needs to be more recognised. So you will have seen we produce research documents. We looked at the role of the trust governance professional. We produced a report into diversity. And you'll probably have seen last week, we released a report that was in Schools Week, which was about trust community engagement as well, and how trusts can really engage their local tier of governance. We partner with Governors for Schools and iGovs and many other governance organisations because we want to be a sort of joined voice for governors. We also produce the Hoot, which is our free access blog. You can access that at thehoot.news or from GovernorHub itself. And in there is a lot of information about governance, articles about things that are current. And there's also a really useful weekly news briefing that governors can get about what's happening in the world of education and links to resources that can support you. And actually, that was mentioned in the governance guides recently as a great resource. Now, with the change of government, obviously, it's really important to keep on top of what's going on. There's bound to be changes. By having resources like this, you can always keep up to date with an ever-changing sector. So I'm going to sort of give you a summary of what it is, and then I'm going to show you, give you a little show around. So the sort of highlights of GovernorHub knowledge. If you're sitting and you've got GovernorHub, or you don't have any of these products at all, you're probably thinking, right, what are the key things about it that I need to know? Well, first of all, GovernorHub knowledge gives you access to more than 1,000 practical and timely resources written by our team of governance experts, Elena being one of them. Then we have quick reads, we have a list of questions that you can use to ask and to challenge. It has editable templates to save you time and downloadable checklists. So a lot of resources and knowledge there. It has a whole package of online interactive training courses and learning pathways. Now, these are fully integrated with your training record on GovernorHub. So if you complete a course on GovernorHub Knowledge, the details automatically copy to your training record with the certificate as well. So there's that administrative task of keeping training records up to date is done automatically through the system. And there's a range of statutory and non-statutory training on there, which I'll show you around in a minute, which, you know, are really, you can signpost governors to through GovernorHub, and it's really, really useful and essential to have access to. We've got model policies with guidance of how and when to review them. And it also tells you which ones are statutory as well. So that resource is also part of GovernorHub Knowledge. We're also very keen that your governors and trustees use GovernorHub Knowledge. So we do send engagement emails tailored to your role. So we know what role you've got on the board, so we can send you links to content that is really relevant to your role. And so we try to really help your governors and trustees engage with the content so that they use it and then they then have that knowledge to act. If you're in a trust, and I know we've got a few trusts joining us this morning, a GovernorHub Knowledge subscription across your trust gives you access to more tools and features. So it would give you access to your own training booking system to set up your own training within GovernorHub, a back-end admin site, and additional integrated tools that I'll talk about at the end. So let's have a look around GovernorHub Knowledge. So if you already have GovernorHub, you'll know that you sign into GovernorHub with your email address and your password. And obviously this is where you can access all of your documents and you can schedule meetings and you can download information, you can make your declarations of interest, you can stay compliant by reading Keeping Children Safe, and all of that sort of administrative information is kept within this tool. However, if you have GovernorHub Knowledge, you also have this blue K on your washing line. And so rather than having a separate login for your training and a separate login for your knowledge, you can literally just click on the K and it takes you to GovernorHub Knowledge. So one login with everything in one place, because as a start, we feel that governors really, being volunteers, it should just be one login that does everything. When you log on to GovernorHub Knowledge, you've got this, you've got the menus along the top, and there's a lot of information there, which you can use the sections to navigate to. More often than not, you would use the search bar at the top to search for what you're looking for. But we also have on the first page a recommended. So what's recommended for you this week? And as you can see, there's a lot of information about the different political parties and their manifestos. There's also, it tells you which articles have been updated recently. So if guidance has been updated, that will show here. And it also shows you what other people are reading as well. And if you see something here, such as the Keeping Children Safe, that one is actually really useful to share with all of your boards. And this one here, you've got one here about tips for new governors and trustees contributing to meetings. Now, this is a one I'm going to use with my board because, you know, what a great way to support someone when they join a board, to give them some tips for how to contribute to meetings, because that first governor meeting is always a little bit scary. To have something to start with like that is really, really useful. So if you find articles like this, you can actually signpost your board and other governors to them. So something like this one here, contributing to meetings, it tells you, you know, what to do. Get a good induction, prepare for your meetings, ask for items to be added to the agenda, questions to ask, and all sorts of really useful things you can share with a colleague. So if you have a governor and it's their first governor meeting, you can share with colleagues, you can pop in their email address, you can send them a personal message and send them the link to the article. So a great way to support each other. And if you find an article like the Keeping Children Safe, now this one here is great to share with everybody because it tells you all of the changes that have been made to keeping children safe in education for September. So it summarises for your governors and trustees the changes in one place. So you might think, right, this is great. I want to share this with everybody. So you can select to share on GovernorHub. And if you hit share on GovernorHub, if you're on one board, that will come up. But if you're on multiple boards, you can actually select which boards you want to share it with. If you're in a trust, you might want to select all of your boards, and then you can edit the text at the top, with something like, dear governors, here is a really useful summary document for the changes to keeping children safe in education that come into force in September. When you click share, it posts that link on every single notice board, and it also emails all your governors with a notification as well. So you can very quickly share knowledge, relevant knowledge, with your board and with your governors and trustees. So that's one of the really useful sort of integrations between GovernorHub Knowledge and GovernorHub. Now, as I mentioned before, you can also search. So, for example, if you were looking for something specific, let's just say you were looking for something about an exclusions panel, you could type in a keyword like exclusions, and straight away you've got the guidance. So you've got what you need to do, what happens at an exclusion meeting, who do you need to notify, what's the governing board responsibilities. So really, really useful. Now, what you can do is you can actually bookmark that. So you can save it for later. If I just undo that, you'll see what it looks like. You can click save for later. And when it does that, it's really useful because, like if you're looking through some content and you think, I need to read that, but I'm busy. And you go back and you think, I can't find it again. Well, you have a reading list at the top, which does two things. Firstly, it has a little breadcrumb trail of all the places that you visited. So you can see the last articles that you looked at, but also it shows you all the articles that you've saved. And again, if any of these things get updated, you then get an email notifying you. So for example, you can see that I've saved the careers link governor article because I'm the link governor for careers on my board. So if any guidance is updated to do with that, I will get an email and I'll be notified. So you can keep on top of any changes that happen because our content, as you'll hear from Elena, is updated constantly and it's always up to date with all the things that you need to know. Now, let's just look at the training briefly. So obviously all of the training is here as well. And we've got a good offering of online, both statutory and non-statutory training. We have a parent governor course. We have a staff governor course. We have a pupil premium course. The safeguarding course that all governors need to do is there. And we have safer recruitment. There's a range of link governor courses, prevent, head teacher recruitment, and also induction courses as well. And as Elena will tell you, we're going to add more whole courses. I'll let Elena talk to you about that, but that we're constantly adding to this. We also have learning pathways about things like complaints, which is like a walkthrough of articles on GovernorHub Knowledge with a quiz at the end that you need to complete. And if you pass the quiz, then it will be added to your training record. And as I say, you can actually access your training record on GovernorHub from here. But as you complete courses, they're added to that training record automatically. Now, you might think, well, that's great. It's great that they're there, but my governors are just not going to go and find them. Don't worry, because you can signpost them to them. So if you find a course like the safeguarding course, and you think, I need all my governors to do this because we need to be compliant, you can share on GovernorHub, same as with the articles. It works exactly the same way. You can send it to selected boards or all of your boards. You can edit the text, dear governors, here is the link to your safeguarding training, your statutory safeguarding training. Could you please complete by the 30th of September? You click share, it posts on every single notice board and emails every governor the link to that course. So they definitely have been signposted to their safeguarding course. And similarly, if you have a new governor join the board, and let's just say they're a parent governor, you can go in and you can share with them the induction course for parent governors. You can add a little message, welcome to the board, welcome to the trust. Here's the link to your training course. So you can get them started straight away with training that's going to help them do their job and be more effective in their role. So as I say, the integration is really, really good between the two. As I mentioned, we've got a policy bank there as well with a whole host of model policies. You can search the policies and it tells you if they're statutory or if they're non-statutory as well. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move back to my PowerPoint and I'm going to hand over to Elena, who is, this is Elena, and she's going to talk to you about how the content is created by the content team.
Thank you, Jane. Hello, everyone. So as Jane said, my name is Elena. I'm one of the content editors in our content writing team. And I'm just going to try and give you a little bit of insight into how we work and how our content is written, so that you can be confident that we are delivering what you need. So a little bit about us. All of our content writers are experienced in the education sector. So, for example, I had 21 years experience as a teacher and senior leader in schools before I came to work for GovernorHub. We're all school governors, so we don't just tell you what to do, we're also doing it, and hopefully that can give you a bit of confidence that we know what it's like and we know the challenges because we're doing it. And we're a good spread on the content team in terms of our governance experience. So, for example, I am volunteering in a very large secondary academy. My colleague is working in a very, as a chair in a very small rural federation of tiny little primary schools. And then my other colleague, for example, is working in an all-through school. So we've got quite a spread in terms of maintained and academies. And so, we use that, we draw on our own experience when we're writing. And we're also, of course, trained in all things governance and research and compliance. So we work very collaboratively with the content team over on the Key for School Leaders. So we're quite a big team. And we have continuous professional development and training, so that we are, we're all confident that we know what we're talking about, and we really are writing from a place of authority and understanding, and we are credible content writers because we're consistently trained to do so. And we receive mentoring from our sub-editing team. So we don't just have content editors, we also have sub-editors, and they keep a very close eye on us and deliver mentoring and training as well. So yeah, that's who we are as a team in terms of content writers. Jane, could you just move on to the next slide for me, please? So how do we work? We have over 600 articles on the site at the moment, plus all of our training courses. So we have a lot of content. But having said that, we don't just write an article, publish it, and then leave it sitting there getting dusty for years. We continually go back to our content and freshen it up. Sometimes we'll go back to an article because it needs to be updated. So, for example, the DfE have released an update, or the Home Office have released an update, or Ofsted. And therefore, we will obviously go back to our content and make those updates as they respond to changes in the sector. But even if there are no changes that affect the article, we still go back to them every, on a rolling cycle. So we have project management software that will tell us where we are with each article and when it needs to be reviewed, so that we're constantly freshening things up, and we're making sure that every word is working as hard as it possibly can. When we are looking at sources, so we work with a big expert community. We make sure that we're working with really credible sources. So we work quite closely now with the DfE. We've got a really good relationship with the governance leads over at the DfE. We also have our legal partners over at Forbes Solicitors, who will check all of our model policies and any of our content that we feel is quite risky, to make sure that it really is compliant with the law or with regulations. And we also have a big team of governance experts and school leaders who will advise us when we are working on an article and we feel like we need that expert input. So hopefully you can feel like, we base our research on really credible sources. As I've said, we're always undertaking training and mentoring. I've already covered that, but that's, our continuous commitment to quality really there. And as I've mentioned, we do have a sub-editing team as well. So it's not just a case that I write something, I publish it, it's done. We always have more than one pair of eyes on an article or on a training course. We have a really ruthless sub-editing team, and I say that in the nicest way possible. They're lovely people, but they are absolutely relentless in their pursuit of making sure that everything that we write is 100% accurate and is phrased in the best way possible, that the language is working really hard and is really user friendly. So we everything is scrutinized. Literally, a sub-editor will go through every article line by line and look at what we've written, and we'll come back and challenge us. And sometimes, we'll come back several times on an article and say, I think we can do more here. We can add more knowledge to ACT. We can make this clearer. We can say less better. So yeah, we have our sub-editing team as well that work very closely with us and make sure that we have that quality assurance process going on all the time. Jane, could you move on for me to the next slide? Thank you. So as I've said, we are fact checking several times. It's not just one person that will do that. There'll be a team of people that will work on every piece of content. We review everything regularly. And of course, we update whenever there are changes. So obviously today we're expecting lots of changes to come soon. I mean, we don't know when they might be or what they might be at the moment. Obviously, everything is very much sort of up in the air today. But having said that, we're really proactive in terms of looking at what's going on across the education sector. So you don't have to be constantly scanning through different Twitter accounts or the DFE homepage or anything like that. I mean, feel free if you want to, if you enjoy that kind of thing. But leave that to us. We have not just our team, but also the team over on the Key for School Leaders, where we're constantly scanning what's going on in the sector and making sure that if anything is updated or there's any new developments with something, that we get on straight away and we deliver that content to you to make sure that you know about it. But we'll only interrupt you if we feel like it's something really important. So those of you that are already GovernorHub members might have seen that when something big happens, like, I don't know, say keeping children safe in education is updated, you'll get what we call a need to know email. But we're not interested in bombarding you with lots of emails all the time over nothing. We'll only do that when we feel like it's something big has happened. But we send out an email and we tell you straight away the things that you need to know. So you don't have to sit there and read through, tons of guidance. We'll pick out the changes. We'll tell you what's changed. We'll tell you what, the headlines are from that new piece of guidance or that change. So we are always doing that. We're always keeping an eye. We've got different people in different camps looking at different things and making sure that we are kept up to date, and we are therefore refreshing our content when we need to. And also we're letting you know when something big has happened. So for example, obviously today we've got the general election result. And you'll notice from our homepage, I noticed that Jane showed it to you, that you could see there that we had an article about the different political parties and their manifestos and what they might mean for education. I know I can see now, looking at our application that we use for project management, that our sub-editor is looking at that. We've updated that this morning just to tweak that. Obviously there's nothing major to really know right now, but we're always looking and thinking, what do our members need to know about this? So yeah, rest assured that anything changes in the sector, we will let you know. We'll be the ones that will look for it and find it and work out, we literally compare the old piece of guidance, the new piece of guidance, and we'll go through them line by line, meticulously working out what has changed. And we can let you know if something is important. Now, when we're writing, we don't want to use, really long, waffly language and very, we're not stuffy and we don't use lots of long words. We want to give you what you need to know, but we like to do it with a very friendly tone, a very approachable tone, and also to tell you as quickly and concisely as possible what you need to know. So we know, because we are governors, we know that governors are busy people. You might only have 10 minutes before you go into a meeting to read through something, because, all of us have our day jobs as well. So we will write things as concisely as possible. So we'll bullet point information. We don't write lots and lots of waffly long sentences that you don't need to be wading through. We keep it nice, short and sharp, so that you can very quickly scan through something if you're really up against it in terms of time. And we also write with empathy and understanding. Like I say, we are governors. We do understand that you're busy, and we do understand the challenges in the sector at the moment. And we understand that governance isn't always easy. But hopefully when you read our content, you'll feel that we are writing with empathy and with understanding. But also we're writing to give you the knowledge that you need to act. So we'll tell you what you actually need to do. We don't tend to just give you information for the sake of it. We'll tell you that, this is, for example, there's been a change in a piece of guidance. This is what you need to do as a result. Okay, so these are the actions that you need to put in place because of that. So yeah, that's what we aim to cover with our guidance, and that's what you can expect from it in our advice and guidance, in our articles and in our training courses. Jane, could you move on to the next slide for me? As I've already said, I won't go on about this too much because I've already talked about this quite a bit, but we react really quickly when there are changes in the sector. The DfE are very good now. They let us know usually when something is coming. So for example, back in March, the old governance handbook was withdrawn and 2 new governance guides replaced that handbook. And we had prior warning, you know, from our contacts at the DfE that was going to happen. So we were braced and ready to review that guidance and look at the changes and get those articles out ready for you. So we create a need to know, as I've already explained. So we'll send you an email with a link to an article, and it will say, you know, this is basically the most important things from this guidance that you need to know today. And we get that out within 24 hours, usually the same day. So for example, when the new governance guides came out, I think they hit the DfE website about 3:15, and by 6:15 we'd sent out an email to around 60,000 school governors and trust staff to let them know. So we tried to get that out literally the same day. Occasionally, if I guess if a piece of guidance comes really late in the day, it might be first thing the next morning, but generally we like to act that day. And then within 48 hours, we like to have a summary of changes article. So that will contain a little bit more detail, where we talk about all of the changes that have been put in place with that guidance update. And then obviously we'll then look at all of our other articles and training courses and see where they need to be updated as well. So as you can imagine, when the governance handbook was withdrawn, that affected pretty much every article on our site because it's such a key piece of guidance for governors. So that took us quite some time to get through all of those. But obviously we sort of triage those and we make sure the most important ones are done first. And I think they're all done now, as far as I'm aware. So we update our content as soon as we can. Okay. And if there's been a guidance change, and we know that because it's quite a big, hefty change that we're not going to be able to update our content that day, we will put little grey boxes. You'll see them at the top of the articles that say, we are aware that this has happened on this date. We're in the process of updating this article. And there's a little option at the top right of every article that says, save this article. And if you press that, you'll be alerted when we then have updated it. So you'll get an email to prompt you that we've now updated that. So if there's something you're particularly interested in, do use that option. Okay, Jane, would you like to move on for me? The other thing that you might not be aware of is that we do offer a bespoke advice service. This is, again, it's us in the content team. It's not done by AI bots. I mean, obviously AI is great. It has its place in lots of contexts. But we know that sometimes when you get a really nitty-gritty question about governance, that you can't answer that with AI. You need a human being who will understand your context and will know exactly where to look and who to ask and how to find out. So if you have a question and you can't find the answer on GovernorHub Knowledge, say it's something really maybe an unusual situation has occurred in your school, or it's something you're just not sure about, you're not quite sure if which bit of the guidance applies to you, let us work it out for you. You can send in an email to the support team as normal, and they'll then forward it on to one of us, and we will respond to you within 3 days. Okay. So if we don't know the answer, if it's something really tricky and we go through all the guidance, but actually the guidance doesn't cover it, and that does happen sometimes, we'll then reach out to the DfE and ask them directly on your behalf. We keep all of your details confidential. We don't share which school has asked us which question, or which person has asked us, or anything like that. We keep all your information confidential, but we will actually find the answer. It's never enough for us to say, sorry, we've looked, but we don't know. We always make it our mission to give you 100% of the answer. So although sometimes it might take a little bit of time if we're waiting for the DfE to get back to us, or if we go to Forbes solicitors, for example, for clarification on something, we might have to say to you, well, we're not sure at the moment. We're finding out. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, and then we'll come back to you and answer your question. Okay. So yeah, I quite enjoy the content queries that we get, actually, because often they're really interesting and unusual things that happen across schools across the country, and you get to you get to sort of find out where the sort of pain points are, I suppose, for governors and what they're struggling with and what questions they have. So please feel free to send us your questions. If something comes up in a meeting and or something that you've been asked to do as a governor and you're not quite sure about it, feel free to come to us with the answer, with the question, and we will give you the answer. Okay. Jane, would you like to move on? The last thing that I'll just say is that you might notice on our articles and our training courses, we have a little feedback option at the end. So if you give us 5 out of 5 stars, that means you really loved it. We're always keen to hear positive feedback. Of course we are. We love to see nice comments and nice feedback, but also we're also just as keen for the not so positive comments. So if there's something you feel there's a gap or something you were hoping to get from the content but you didn't, something you perhaps found confusing, please do let us know. We're always keen to hear from you. We're always looking to improve our content. So don't be afraid. We do have very thick skins. We don't mind if you want to send us a comment that says, well, actually, I didn't really like the way you explained this, or I would have really liked to have seen a template for this within this article. Please let us know, because we will always feed that into our discussions that we have, our editorial meetings, and consider whether actually, yeah, we do need to do that. So yeah, please, I know everybody's busy and you don't always have the time to do these things, but if you can find the time to send us feedback on something, if you loved it, that's lovely. Also, if there's something else you'd like to see, or you have a need for something, please do let us know. We've received lots and lots of feedback recently to say that governors really want suspensions and exclusions training. So I am literally working on that right now, and we are hoping to release that first week of September. We've also had quite a lot. I saw a question in the chat actually saying that clerks training is something that would be really welcome. So again, that's something we're discussing at the moment. So please do send us your thoughts, your feedback. It's always welcome. Okay. Okay, Jane, I think that you wanted to add something now, didn't you, about the self-efficacy tool?
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, that's great. And this actually leads very nicely on from what Elaine has just said. Obviously, we're always, as you've heard from Elena's presentation, we're always looking to engage governors and trustees with our content. Now, one of the things that we've got coming soon in the autumn term is a self-efficacy tool. Now, this is very exciting. I'm giving you a little sneak preview here. And this basically is, so we have a skills audit on GovernorHub Knowledge, which is similar to the NGA. It's the usual grid that governors fill in and then administrators have to collate. So we want to make that tool much more dynamic and much more manageable and something that governors and trustees will engage with much better, and something that produces a useful outcome as well. So our self-efficacy tool is going to look at all of these key areas. So committing, contributing, leading, aspiring, evaluating, analysing and monitoring. And it will be housed within the profile on GovernorHub. So on GovernorHub, within the profile, there'll be a tab for the self-efficacy tool. And governors can rate themselves on their skills and their training and their experience, and a number of areas of self-efficacy. And the system will record all of this, and it will produce a summary of effectiveness. It will look at effectiveness, skills, training needs, and experience. And if you're in a trust or a local authority, or you're an administrator of many schools, it will allow you to collate this information as well, so that you can see where your experience is across your governors and trustees. You can see what the training needs are. You know, if you are looking for a chair, you can see where all of your people that have got chairing experience sit, or people who've got exclusion panel experience are. So it's going to be a really exciting new addition to GovernorHub Knowledge. It's going to replace that skills audit with something that's really dynamic, something that's integrated within GovernorHub. And so what I want to say to you is watch this space, because this is something that's coming in the autumn term. And as I said, it'll sit within, if you're a GovernorHub user, you'll know there's an About Me, a Compliance, and a Training and a Settings tab. There's going to be an Effectiveness tab, which is where this is going to sit. So you heard it first here. If you have any questions afterwards as a result of what you've seen, if you are wanting to know more, particularly if you're a trust and you want to know more about the trust functionality of GovernorHub Knowledge, or if you want a quote for upgrading to GovernorHub Knowledge, or if you have any other questions at all, please email support@governorhub.com and we'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you once again for joining us. We're really, really pleased that you've come along this morning. A recording will be sent to you by email, so don't worry thinking you've got to remember all of this. You'll get the recording. And yeah, we look forward to chatting with you and speaking to you again soon. Thank you so much. Oh, and I should mention there's a survey in the chat. Please complete the survey so that we can know how useful this has been for you. Thank you again for coming.